Whoa. If you took your eyes off the market for even a second on Friday, you probably missed it. We just saw one of the most insane, explosive, single-day rallies in the cannabis sector in years. A total green rush that just sent shockwaves everywhere. So let's get right into it. What on earth just happened?
Just look at these numbers. This wasn't some slow and steady climb. No way. This was a straight-up firestorm. You've got Canopy Growth exploding by 50%, Tilray brands rocketing up over 40%, and CURLF right there with them, up 38%. These are the kinds of moves that make absolutely everyone stop what they're doing and ask one very simple question.
So what was it? What was the spark that lit this incredible fuse? It wasn't some new product. It wasn't a crazy earnings report. Nope. The answer lies in a single bombshell piece of news that came straight out of Washington.
And that brings us right to the heart of it, the rescheduling rumor. This is the story, the catalyst, that completely flipped the script for cannabis stocks overnight. So let's really unpack what this is all about.
Okay, so here's the deal. The big catalyst, the thing that lit the match, was a series of reports suggesting the Trump administration is seriously looking at reclassifying marijuana under the Controlled Substances Act. Now, you gotta understand, investors have been dreaming about a signal like this for years. So when the news finally dropped, the reaction wasn't just fast, it was nuclear. And the market's response was just staggering. Let's take Tilray, for instance. Its trading volume just exploded by almost 1,400% above its average. Think about that. This wasn't just a little price jump, it was a tidal wave of cash and attention just flooding into the sector. But of course, with that tidal wave of hype came a pretty quick reality check. A White House official came out and cooled things down, stating that no final decisions have been made. This is a textbook example of the market getting way out ahead of itself, running on pure optimism, not on confirmed policy. And that uncertainty is absolutely key to figuring out what could happen next.
So what would this change actually mean in the real world? Why all the excitement? Well, moving from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug classification has absolutely massive implications for this entire industry.
So to put this in perspective, right now, cannabis is a Schedule 1 drug. That puts it in the same category as heroin and LSD. The government's official line is no accepted medical use. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But moving it to Schedule 3, that's a total game changer. It would mean the federal government finally acknowledges its medical value, and that completely rewrites the rulebook for how these businesses can even operate.
For the companies themselves, the benefits would be huge and almost immediate. We're talking easier medical research, the ability to make normal business tax deductions, and finally getting access to traditional banking and big-time institutional investors, all things that have basically choked the industry's growth for years.
And to really get why Friday's surge was so violent, you have to look at the backstory. This sector has been absolutely hammered. Just crushed. Since those crazy highs during the pandemic, the big cannabis indices were down something like 90%. 90%? So when you see a glimmer of good news, it's not just a spark, it's like throwing a lit match into a room full of gasoline.
Yeah, this timeline really tells the tale, doesn't it? After hitting those peaks back in 2021, the last few years have just been a brutal, grinding slump. It's been plagued by regulatory gridlock, too much supply, bad pricing, you name it. So Friday's surge felt like, a potential lifeline for an industry that was really struggling.
Okay, so that's the big question. Where do we go from here? The market is really at a crossroads. And honestly, this could go in two very different directions. So let's look at the bull versus the bear case, using a stock like Tilray as our example.
All right, first up, let's be optimistic. The bullish scenario. This is the path where the rescheduling rumor keeps getting stronger, where buyers stay firmly in the driver's seat and they keep pushing the stock to new heights.
So for the traders out there, the play they're watching for is what's called a continuation breakout. What does that mean? Basically, they're looking for the price to punch right through that tough 1350 resistance level. If it can do that and stay there, it's a huge signal that this rally isn't over, that it has more gas in the tank. We could be looking at targets of $15, maybe $17, or hey, even higher.
But then you have to look at the other side of the coin, the bearish scenario. What if this was just a flash in the pan, a hype-fueled sugar rush, where the profit takers and the short sellers come roaring back in once the excitement dies down?
In that case, what you'd be watching for is a rejection at resistance. So if the price pushes up towards that $14 mark but just can't break through, it stalls out, that could be a major red flag that the rally is out of steam. And that could trigger a pretty quick reversal, pulling the stock right back down to where it was before.
So, what should you be watching for now? This whole situation is moving incredibly fast, and it is really important to keep the risks front and center. So please, keep these 4 things burned into your brain. First, this whole thing is running on news and rumors, not fundamentals. Second, the volatility is absolutely off the charts, so be careful. Third, nothing is real until it's officially confirmed. Nothing. And fourth, these massive breakouts, they can fizzle out just as fast as they ignite.
And that all brings us back to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Are we looking at a genuine, honest-to-goodness turning point for the entire cannabis industry? Or was this just a temporary high? You know, the fate of these companies, and frankly, a lot of people's money, is hanging right here in the balance, just waiting to see what Washington does next.